Well, hello, welcome back. We're here talking about A Course in Miracles, none other than the workbook for students. Yeah, the famous or the infamous workbook, right? So, as you're watching this video, not just this one, but the entire series, there are well over 300 of these now and counting, by the way. Wherever you are in this process, whether you're actively doing the workbook or not, I invite you to stay tuned if you're watching this, because what I have to say, not just today, but every day, applies to you. It's universal, which means it applies to all of us, no matter what your spiritual tradition may be. This is indeed one of the great strengths and beauties of A Course in Miracles, is that it is not a religion. That's the last thing the world needs, right? I mean, the last thing the world needs is another religion or a cult or something like that, isn't it? This is rather a self-study curriculum at which you go at your own pace. And frankly, you're directed to the lessons that you need to learn when you need to learn them. When the causes and conditions are ripe, as you might say in Buddhism, if you follow Eastern philosophy, right, you'll get what you need when you need it. And in the exact right amount for you to absorb, contemplate, and most importantly of all, put it into action. Spirituality is naturally, yes, about accepting and receiving. And what some people either don't realize or choose to ignore is the dynamic, active, and immediate component, which we discover we cannot ignore because the present moment right now is all that there is. All of spirituality, all of it, boils down to a choice that we make in the present moment. The past is gone. And we saw that in lesson 289, actually, the last video in this series. And that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, we can intellectually grasp that one pretty quickly. The past is gone. The future's not here. The present's all we have. That's obvious, isn't it, when we really think about it? But how often do you really think about it? Because we live our lives in either the past or the future. Don't we? We worry about what may or may not come tomorrow, or we dwell on what didn't go our way yesterday. No matter what the example is and how it showed up and manifested in your life, right? We're often anywhere but the present moment. We're absent. And A Course in Miracles just puts it this way: we're not thinking. It is true. If you're not here right now, then, well, you're not present. I mean, really, literally. This is the only time that there is. So the choice that we make in the present moment matters. It shapes the next choice. And yes, as you may have discovered from choosing the ego and fear and stress and worry and guilt, it creates a chain reaction. One choice begets the next choice, begets the next choice, on and on, right? The beauty of that is that you can change your mind. This is the wonderful thing about all of this, is that you can change your mind right now. And as always, I invite you to do just that. So, speaking of that message, lesson 290 in the workbook. My present happiness is all I see. Yeah, my present happiness is all I see. Let's talk about this in the context of choice, decision. You could choose what the Course refers to as the vision of Christ. Or you can choose the ego's whole world. That's the choice. You can put it a bunch of different ways. You could choose God or the ego, right? If that is the verbiage that works for you, love or fear. Yeah. Your higher self, in other words, self with a capital S versus self, lowercase s, ego, yeah. A separate sense of self cut off, or your higher self. You could characterize this as a choice between life and death. Really. Your light or your dark. There are many, many ways of verbally describing this choice, this present moment choice. The commentary for lesson 290 encourages us to decide that our present happiness, our identity, oneness with God, is all we see. It's a choice. We can choose to see the vision of Christ. You'll recall one of the past workbook lessons is, above all else, I want to see. This is the vision that the Course is talking about here. This is what Jesus is talking about, the vision of Christ. Now, Christ, who's Christ? It's not just Jesus. And if you've seen some of these videos or been through the workbook or the text of A Course in Miracles, you'll know that the Course refers to the Christ in its traditional sense, which is the thought of God, God's creation, which includes you. It includes your ex. It includes your political rivals. It includes your children whom you love. It includes me. It's all of life. You could choose to see with Christ's vision, meaning oneness, meaning viewing, choosing to see your neighbor as yourself. It's a choice that we can make. That's how powerful the mind is. And if you're sitting here thinking, it can literally make worlds, yup. Yeah. And we say in common parlance that we're only tapping in our human realm, running around, doing what we do, looking at our social media feed, checking email, paying bills, things like that, right? We're only tapping a small percentage of our actual capability. And wow, is that ever the case? Isn't it? If you've been on a spiritual path, whatever that looks like, you'll reach a point, if you haven't already, where you begin to see, wow, that's really true. That's really true. We're leaving a whole hell of a lot on the table in choosing to see ourselves as separate. In withholding forgiveness, we're leaving everything actually on the table. We're leaving on the table the peace of God. But here's the cool thing. It doesn't go anywhere. Just because you chose the ego once doesn't mean you have to choose it again. Remember, the present moment is all we have. The past is gone. So make a choice today that your present happiness, joy, boundlessness, abundance, love is all you see. All. Make that choice. what happens? That is what you see. All right. Thank you, as always, for joining me, and we'll see you right back here. And quick preview, we're going to be talking about this vision of Christ in the next section. We're going to be talking about it in the context of what A Course in Miracles refers to as the real world. So that will be the next video. It's the world we see with the vision of Christ. So make that choice today, and I'll see you here next time.